Contagious Agalactia is one of the neglected diseases. It is listed by OIE and very important as far as economic significance is considered. It is caused by Mycoplasma agalactia. It is the first disease caused by Mycoplasma to be reported. It is a polymorphic bacterium with size in the range of 124 to 250 nanometers and has very small genome, as I mentioned earlier. Other Mycoplasma species, they were also reported to be associated with contagious agalactia by many authors. Okay. Sensitivity and resistance. Mycoplasma agalactia is very sensitive to high temperature and can be easily inactivated with the exposure to 60 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes, and within a minute at 100 degrees Celsius, can be inactivated with the direct exposure to the sunlight during hot summer season. And its survival time varies from 1 to 2 weeks to 3 to 4 months at room temperature. Then humid and cold conditions supports its survival. It can survive for 8 to 9 months of period at minus 20 degrees Celsius. Exposure to ultraviolet ray radiation and dyes inactivates it quickly. Can be easily destroyed by commonly used disinfectants such as potassium hydrochloride, formalin, and chloramines. Okay, so this is very important because it helps in planning the disinfection and preventing the further spread. A host, mainly sheep, however, goats, they are also affected. And this year we diagnosed, contagious agalactia in 3-4 flocks in our region, and both, here practice is in like rearing sheep along with few goats. Okay, and both sheep as well as goat, they were found to be affected with the disease. Some wild population also is said to carry the infection and affects with the disease. Transmission. Sustainability of the organism at room temperature supports its rapid spread through contact. Auricular, ocular, and nasal secretions, feces, milk, urine, and excretions from joint lesions are the main sources of the infection. Sexual transmission through infected male has also been reported. Contaminated utensils and milkers' hands are vital source of the infection. Vertical transmission is also observed through contaminated colostrum and milk. Epidemiology. As I told earlier, the disease has been reported in many parts of the world, most notably in the Mediterranean Basin. Mostly the countries in the Mediterranean Basin are Albania or France, Italy, then Greece, and many other countries. And even in Asian countries like Iran, Iraq, United Arab Emirates, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, China, Mongolia, and Indonesia. In India, it was first reported by Bawa long back in 1944 as a war in sheep and goat. Later on, Danda in 1959, Banerjee in 1979, Srivastava in 1996. They also reported Mycoplasma agalactia, I would say, because if we read all these papers, we'll come to know that most of the studies, there were no typical or classical signs of contagious agalactia. Most of them, they have isolated agalactia from the pneumonic lesions. Okay, and they have not mentioned about the mastitis, arthritis, keratoconjunctivitis in the disease. However, recently, Kumari and her co-workers, they reported outbreak of contagious agalactia syndrome in sheep herds in Andhra Pradesh. They found some clinical signs and they have even confirmed at genus level, but species level confirmation was not done by the authors. Hence, there are no confirmed reports, rather. Okay, and even in Maharashtra, there is no single report of the disease earlier. So our experience, total 3 flocks from 2 from Sathya and 1 from Pune district of Maharashtra of India, consisting both sheep and goats, were involved in the present investigation. Morbidity in the flocks range between 55 to 70%, and in 1 flock from Pune it was around 42%. Mortality in all 3 flocks was 4.57 and 3% respectively. Clinical signs: clinically, anorexia, reluctance to follow the herd, lethargy and fever were the first clinical signs. Latter, mastitis in more than 55 to 65% lactating animals in herd was noted to be most important clinical sign. Hypogalaxia and subsequent Agalactia were also characteristic findings. Arthritis involving knee or hock joints, either unilaterally or bilaterally, causing lameness, was also noted in 35 to 48% animals. Mastitis, arthritis, keratoconjunctivitis, they were noted in the herd affected. But all animals were not affected with all these clinical signs. So in this picture, in earlier picture, you can clearly see that animals when milch farmer demonstrating the mastitis. You can see the copious, thick, milk of oozing out of the udder, and you can see the color change in the below pictures. And even here you can see there are a lot of flocculation and lot of precipitates in the. Then arthritis, you can see the swelling of joints. The above picture showing the swelling of joints in sheep, and the below picture is regarding swelling of joints or arthritis in the goats also. And the keratoconjunctivitis, though not seen in all animals, but it was very typical, and that made us to suspect for contagious Agalactia, because initially we were confused whether it is a case of contagious, it is a case of caprine arthritis and encephalitis. Then, by looking at these lesions, we strongly suspected the mycoplasmosis. So you can see the corneal opacity clearly. And in some animals, as I told you, that keratoconjunctivitis can lead to partial blindness, or even there can be complete blindness. There can be rupture of the lens, there can be necrosis, abscessation, and there can be complete blindness. And this was noted in many animals in the flock. And after treatment, there was no abscession or necrosis. Animals recovered, they gained vision back. Okay, but in animals with abscession and ruptured lens, there was no gain of the vision. Abortions were also noted in many animals. Okay, and none of the clinical case from both sheep. This is very important, finding I am quoting here, because what has happened over the years is different species of mycoplasma, they are said to be associated with the disease, and those species, along with causing mastitis, arthritis, or conjunctivitis, they are also said to cause pneumonia. Yes, that is the one of the important differentiation between classical contagious Agalactia and the other mycoplasmal infections. Okay, none of the clinical case from both sheep as well as goat revealed pneumonia, as evident through absence of signs like abnormal nasal discharge, cupping, tachypnea, and abnormal sounds on auscultation. The X-ray examination of the thoracic cavity in above clinical cases also did not reveal any lesions of the pneumonia. And we detected again same genus level. We collected basically milk sample from the affected animal, and we aseptically collected the arthritic exudate from the arthritic joints, and then we extracted DNA and we performed PCR to detect mycoplasma genus, and then subsequent sequencing again same as that case as that of with this CPP it was done. And when we perform sequence blast analysis of the sequence, it matched with the mycoplasma Agalactia isolate JF4426, and even it matched with mycoplasma bovis also. But mycoplasma Agalactia it matched, and we diagnosed it as a mycoplasma. We confirm it as a case of contagious Agalactia. So this is the alignment of the nucleotide sequence. Then diagnosis, as I mentioned earlier, same is the case with this disease also. Based on the clinical signs like loss of milk production, mastitis, keratoconjunctivitis, articular lesions, stillbirth, abortions. Samples, different kinds of samples like milk, then auricular, ocular, vaginal, and nasal discharges, then exudate, they can be collected, and they can be sent to laboratory for confirmation. And there are various kinds of tests: conventional detection through isolation of the organism, cultural characteristics, very typical colonies you observe. Okay, and then biochemical characters, then serological tests, complement fixation, then ELISA and several other tests, and molecular tests. They are very sensitive and specific for, and even species, subspecies level identification can be done with the PC. So a treatment, tylosin at the rate 10 mg per kg body weight, injection meloxicam and paracetamol, Melonex plus, 2 ml dose we gave in the large animals. injection vitamin A, D3. This was in consultation with medicine people. Injection vitamin A, D3, E, beta D at the rate 2 ml per adult sheep goat for consecutive 4 days. And the signs of recovery, they started third day onwards. And after a week of treatment, there was complete recovery in 85, 91, and 90% animals in 3 different flocks. Only animals who had complete blindness, there was no recovery. Otherwise, most of the animals, they recovered. They started milking. Prevention and control. Major sources of infection and excretion. Multiple sources of infection and excretion, as I mentioned earlier, the auricular, ocular fluids exuded from joints, and many semen, blood, they are the source of infection. And hence, there is rapid spread of the infection. Timely and quick response to the infection is essential for prevention and control. Adoption of good managemental practices and following continuous surveillance and monitoring of the pathogen is very, very important in preventing. Many times, subclinical infected animals may also spread the infection. Immediately after disease confirmation, culling. Of course, culling in many foreign countries, they cull the animals. But in India, it is not possible. Hence, isolation measures, they can be taken. Prompt treatment of the animals, affected animals, they help in recovery. Use of disinfectants can be used for disinfecting the environment. Vaccination is available in many countries, but as in case of CCPV, it is not available. Here also, there is no vaccine available for contagious Agalactia, probably because it is less reported, and even though it is there, because we are unaware of the disease, it is not diagnosed, and it goes undiagnosed. The conclusion would be these 2 diseases, they occur in our country, and there is a need to do systemic surveillance studies so as to appreciate their prevalence, and so as to know the economic impacts of the disease, these 2 diseases. Then it is needed to develop rapid diagnostics, pen-side diagnostics, and for that we need to isolate the organism and try to develop those tests. Even it is needed to apply highly sensitive molecular tests like PCR to confirm the etiology of the disease, and then development of vaccines. Okay, in many countries, inactivated or vaccines, they are being used, and there is need to work upon. This is not true, or this is not applicable for our country, but in those countries, they are going for recombinant vaccines, or subunit vaccines or DNA vaccines. So yes, there is need to focus upon such neglected diseases as well. And with this, I think I end my presentation with a very famous quote that every ending is really just a new beginning. So thank you very much.